Well, happy Wednesday. As a matter of fact, November 9th, 2022 is the day that we bring to you our midweek edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. So thank you for tuning in on our favorite video of the week. As we take a look at some of the coolest errors and varieties that people have found out in the wild and have subsequently made some pretty nice healthy amounts of cash in the process. So we have a pretty good lineup. You guys know my midweek edition isn't nearly as stacked quantity wise as the one on Saturday. But in any event, we have 25 absolutely stuttering coins, a lot of which are coming up on some of the newer dates of U.S. coinage out there. So, guys, if you are out there looking through just anything, pocket change, coin roll hunting, make sure you're paying close attention to some of the newest coins that are currently circulating. The U.S. Mint really did a number on some of the coins from about the last 5 years that they're all worth looking for. And they show up pretty regularly to the point where they're not rare at all. But you will be shocked and surprised by how much some of these coins have sold for. In addition, we have a couple of brand new, never seen before errors that are going to make their debut here on the Pocket Change Market Report. It's going to be exciting to see what they are and something for you guys to gloss over so that way you're aware that these things do exist out there. These things are not fables or unicorns at all. These are real coins, ladies and gentlemen, that are being found out there today. So make sure you're aware of that. So a few little housekeeping items. Number one is that none of the coins I talk about are graded in this video. I actually do a completely separate video about once a month highlighting some of the most notable graded examples of errors and varieties. And these are kind of like the ideal sampling of coins that you should send off to the graders. Keep in mind, grading coins, especially errors, is very expensive. Sometimes $60, $65 per coin is a fee that you would have to pay just to see these things in plastic. And sometimes it won't make a whole heck of a lot of difference as far as value. So make sure you're aware of that. And finally, the second thing is I didn't juice or do anything to any of the images that you're going to see today. These were all quite original to the seller's listings. So you're going to see the best and the worst. If anything, you're going to get a little bit of photography lesson out of the deal as well. All right, let's jump right in, see what has sold here in the last, I would say, day and a half. There's about, 36 hours worth of coins here from eBay. Best of luck in all of your future hunts, and hopefully this video will give you some inspiration to find some of these gems on your own. So we have this is actually a lot of two. This is not an obverse reverse of the same coin, but we have two Buffalo nickels. Again, these are things that you could cherry pick on the cheap out at the local coin shop. They have just regular common date, rather worn Buffalo nickels for under $1 a piece. So these minor type of errors could be sitting in there. So we have a pair here. These are both what we consider on a generic term defective planchets, right? Okay, so we have some retained laminations, just improper annealing in certain cases, which is pretty common for this series. But yeah, I mean, these coins are not the prettiest examples, but you could really make out the error that you need to on these. So the coin on the right, 1930 Buffalo nickel, shows some of those striations that go across the coin. Those are lamination areas. And you can see the same on the coin on the left, although there is a pretty nice flap that's retained onto the coin. Those will typically command more money on the secondary market. There's the opposite sides of the coins. Now, the 1930 is an S mint. The 1926, I believe, is the Philadelphia mint. But you can see just how well worn these are. So this is the more normal side of the coins that exhibit no sort of errors at all. So make sure you're flipping those coins over. The seller sells quite a few of these. And he sold this pair for $24.99. Not too bad. threw it up as a buy it now listing, and then someone picked it up. And he actually sells quite a few of these 2-coin lots of buffaloes. So another kind of idea for you guys, if you're looking to make some extra money before the holidays, go ahead and scour out some of these earlier buffalo nickels with lamination peels and whatnot. They're all over the place. So, and they are very collectible. Oh my goodness, speaking of lamination peel, how about this 1953S Lincoln wheat cent? Now, all of the action is on the front of the coin. The coin itself is not in the greatest of condition, all right? Which means that it really doesn't matter what the overall grade of the coin is. If there is something on it that is of a legitimate US Mint error, yeah, it will sell, and oftentimes it will sell for above face value, which says a lot because these things are only worth 1 cent, at the end of the day. But you have a few of really nice long bands of lamination peels that are retained right on the coin. You even have that one that goes through the 3 of the date, which is quite attractive. Overall, most folks have skipped over this coin over the years until one eagle-eyed collector, saw it and said, I can make a mountain out of a molehill pretty easily with this thing. And sure enough, he did. Sold this one for $30. Very well done. Always something to keep an eye out for. Now, I've talked about this one before, but we'll go ahead and revisit it. It's a 2021 Lincoln Shield cent, and you probably see what's going on there on the obverse. These are notorious for strike-throughs that go through the date. Sometimes they'll be by the date. Sometimes they'll be coming out of Mr. Lincoln's mouth, making it look like he's smoking a cigar or something. But these are just simple field-restricted strike-throughs. The feeder finger actually pushes around some residual grease on the die, and that's how you get these particular anomalies on the coin. This one right here sold for $8.50. It may not seem like a lot of money, but considering it's a face value of 1 cent, I think that's a heck of a flip. So this is a coin I talked about a few days ago, and I still stand firm on this particular error's position in the marketplace. They sell for a decent amount of money. Why would you not want to pull these out when you do come across them? 2022 Philadelphia minted Sally Ride American Women's Series quarter features a pretty phenomenal strike through that goes through the ponytail and neck area of George Washington here on the obverse. Again, more field restricted strike through is the actual terminology of this coin. This example, in all of its BU glory, sold for $40. That's a pretty nice payday on this one. Another one to add to your long list of 2022 coins that are worth some pretty serious money today. Here's another one here. This particular example showing a similar strike through right on George Washington's ponytail is much bigger, larger, goes into the motto, only this time it's on a Maya Angelou. So from what I've seen, the Maya Angelou strike-throughs of the same type is worth a little bit more than the Sally Ride versions of the same coin. Generally, the strike-through events on these examples are going to be much larger, and they intrude into the actual fields behind Washington's head. So this particular example ended up selling for $64.50. Can you imagine going through a few BU rolls of these, which they still exist out there, going through a few BU rolls and finding a grip of these? My goodness, you could really make a killing if you wanted to, selling these things. And again, they all come in different sizes and shapes because as the coins are being ejected out of the striking chamber with that feeder finger, applying the next, planchet into the striking chamber, it's constantly making contact with the die, therefore shifting around that grease that is on there. So a really solid sale. I would say it's a phenomenal, very overachieving amount of money. And, if this is kind of like the norm, sign me up. I want to find a few more of these and sell them myself. Now this is a pretty cool one here. We don't typically see these type of errors on Roosevelt dimes, but this is actually a pretty solid example. A great example of this particular error type, and that is a coin that's been struck through a very late stage capped die. To the point where the capped die is wrinkling on itself. It's that thin, and this is what the coin will look like. You still have the date that actually strikes through that very thin capped die, in spite of the fact that it's beginning to tear apart and wrinkle and all that. So this one right here ended up selling for $59.95. Anytime you come across a coin where it's blank on one side, probably more blank than what this one is, and you have just a nice regular strike on the reverse, that's the kind of error that you would have. Another Roosevelt dime, rather. This is one that struck about 70% off center. There's no readable date, and that's fine. It's just a really just pleasing, very dramatic overall look of this coin. This one ended up selling for $15.50 with 13 bids. So an affordable option if it had a full date, which is what these are collected by. They would probably sell for about 2x what this one ended up at. Our first piece of currency is this one right here, a 2017 $1 bill. Check out the top right serial number, and you'll note that the 5 is shifted a lot higher than it should be on that line. They call this a turn digit as far as error speak goes. But most folks refer to it as like a gas pump digit. If you can imagine an old school gas pump, where the numbers are turning on a wheel. That's kind of like what you would have here. So it's rather minor. I found a number of these, but based off of the sale of this particular note, might as well pull them out and sell them, right? They do have some sort of market value to them. This particular example sold for $11.14 with 7 bids. As kind of like a minor discovery out of your straps of $1 bills. These type of smaller sales, they all add up to a big pot. So keep that in mind. I do this all the time. I will gladly take the $5, $10, $15 sales to go along with the much more expensive stuff. So we have a nice old school $20 bill here, this time a 1993 series note. Always love these. They've been out of circulation for quite some time, but sometimes you'll come across a few of these at the bank, But this particular example is here because it's got a partial wet ink back to front transfer. So you can see that right side there. You want to make sure that the secondary print is backwards. All right. If it's not backwards, it's not a real wet ink transfer. So in this particular case, there was a little bit of residual ink on the impression cylinder. So when the next note was fed in there, that leftover transfer of ink on the cylinder would transfer onto the note, thereby leaving this kind of pretty neat look here. This one ended up selling for $101 with 17 total bids collected to get up to that amount. There's a good look at the reverse, showing very little wear. This note is actually nice. It does have a little bit of a pink teller marker on the top left area of the note. So they really don't affect the value too badly on these errors. So our first kind of like notable lot is this lot of 12 early dated single curved clipped Lincoln cents. You have coins from the 40s and 50s represented very well in this lot. The idea is this an opportunity to scoop this up at a bargain kind of quote unquote bulk price and go ahead and resell them on a singular coin basis? They can be, because these coins are typically for a lot of the budget-minded error collectors, they'll want to do a date set of, say, rim clips like this one. And selling them singularly on their own can represent a good opportunity for you to, take something that you had spent a little bit of money on and easily double up your profits. So, I mean, very nice lot here. There's not, probably this coin is the worst of the bunch, but even still, that's a very, very minor kind of like dirty coin there. This 12 coin lot, believe it or not, sold for $36 with 3 bits, which puts it at $3 a coin. I could see someone picking this up if they don't need the coins at all or they're not really collecting into it. They could easily put it back up on eBay for $9.95 a piece shipped. Ship these off in a plain white envelope, invest a penny for a 2x2 holder, and you could really do some damage here with this particular lot. And it sounds like you could probably 3x your money. That's how good of a lot this one is. So always look out for these. If you're looking to make some sort of opportunity happen, where you don't have a lot of, coin shops and banks and stuff that's willing to play ball with you, always look at lots on eBay, because oftentimes people are offloading these for uber cheap. Okay, so the first new error that I have never found or seen before is it's the newish Nina Otero Warren, which up to this point, all people have found was like little minor kind of die chips and whatnot on these coins. So this is kind of like the underachieving quarter of the American Women's Series, bar none so far. Up until this point, we found this quarter sold on eBay. Check out the just amazing amounts of strike through on both sides of the coin. I mean, there is a fresh gob of grease applied to both the anvil and hammer dies before these coins were produced. You have a lot of mushiness to the strike, a lot of disappearing devices, no doubt. But yeah, this is a crazy one. Sold for $35.44 with 5 bids. And it's not even in that great a condition. This thing is circulated a little bit. I'm willing to bet that a much nicer example will fetch a few more dollars in the open market, but people were just like chomping at the bit to find a Nina Otero Warren error coin that's worth a conversation. Here's one of them right here. Here's just a really nice 1984 Philadelphia Lincoln Memorial Cent. It's off center by about 55%, somewhere around there. Keep in mind, these are copper-coated zinc, so you'll see some exposed zinc in certain areas here. This coin sold for $21.34 with 9 bids. Again, this is probably a need for a date set of this error type. So I would say the rip of the day has to be this 4-coin statehood quarter lot. They're all like a broad strike error. The New Hampshire, South Carolina, the Maryland, and the Virginia all have that. They probably have a little bit of a partial collar as well on the edge. This is the ultimate kind of bulk bargain buy that you want to wish. This is the kind of thing that dreams are made of. This 4-coin lot ended up selling for only $8 with 5 bids. And guess how much these coins sell for individually? You take these 4 coins, you upload them, onto eBay as just 4 separate lots, and these things sell for $25 to $30 a piece because these are widely collected by the state. People are looking for off-center strikes and broad strikes to fill a need. And from what I see, guess what? All 4 coins are Denver minted examples. I mean, this is a rip and a half. So congratulations to the buyer. Hopefully this gets sent to you because if you don't need it for your collection, man, I mean, this is something that you could pop $30 at a time and they will sell instantly. The coins are in really nice shape too. All right, so, there's a Wilma Man Killer for every day of the week. And we have another one here. This is, of course, the obverse retained cud that you can see there right above Washington's head. And this one also has the retained cud crack on the reverse as well. This is the big chase coin of 2022. Very rare. I'm not going to say rare in a sense that they're not findable because at least 1 or 2 of these are being sold every single day of the week right now during the holiday season. So these are definitely the chase, the pursuit of the coin that will make you boatloads of money. This particular example ended up selling for $555.60 from a seller with zero feedback. They wanted to get in on the action, ended up popping a huge sale on this coin that everybody's talking about. Congratulations to the seller. Congratulations to the buyer. This is a fine coin to look for today. And there's going to be more. I think another one or two of them are going to be ending today as we speak. Well, it was only a matter of time before an anime Wong would show up on the good old PCMR. So this is the first one that I've personally highlighted here. We did talk about another one on the live coin Q&A live stream from Monday. However, this one gets a little bit of an honorable mention. I think the one that we talked about on the Q&A stream is a lot better. This one is quite minor, but this is, again, just something to be on the lookout for because it did sell, and for more than a quarter. So at first glance, the coin doesn't appear to have anything funny with it, right? But close up, there's a bunch of die chips on her name. And that's the big premise in which this one was sold at. As a matter of fact, this coin ended up selling for $14.50. So as minor as this looks, all right, the first couple reported sales have all sold between like 10 to 20 bucks. And I could see this continuing on as people are putting together progression sets of these particular die chips and interior die breaks. So be on the lookout for these. And use your magnifier. That's going to be an important tool to be able to locate these. Really cool one here. Man, I love this particular variety. It's an 1857 Flying Eagle. It's not a coin that you typically see every day, oftentimes a coin shop or a show or even cherry picking one online or eBay is going to be your best bet. But this is Snow 16 as the attribution number. This one has the interior die break right on the wing. And also has the subsequent rim cuts on the reverse right here at about 12 o'clock. So that's kind of, the interior die break on the wing is the main variety for this one. So this one sold for $224.95. If you do come across these that are in relatively nice shape with that bar wing or that interior die break wing feature, pick them up. All right, because these are a top-notch variety. I believe it's even in the Cherry Picker's Guide, but correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty good sale here. Well, this is the one that I really wanted to talk about this week. I have never personally seen one of these in person as they were being sold. This is a Denver minted Bicentennial Candy half dollar, but check out the reverse, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Look at all this. You have retained cud, breaks. These are all pre-cuds right here. You have a fair amount of displacement as the cracks are kind of snaking their way all throughout the letters. You can see the shift from one side of the crack to the other. And then you have more better raised areas. I mean, this thing is nutty, right? And what's been kind of the theme with bicentennial coinage is that anytime you find a major error on them, they're worth quite a bit of money. Now, I'm going to say this, and it might be the hottest hot take of the week for me, but I think this one undersold. This one ended up selling for only $34.95. Considering what we're seeing here, this is a coin that I think should have been a $100 bill all day long. I wish I would have seen it. I would have bought it. But it's the only one that I have personally seen in this particular state. It's so amazing. And it draws your eye in like really, really good. So keep an eye out for these. I know folks are really down on Denver minted Kennedys, but when something like this exists on a bicentennial Denver, oh boy, it really gives you a little cause to double check for this. Pretty neat one here. I found a few of these, considering that the FS 801, which is the DDR number one, sorry about that, is easier to find. This one is also pretty good. This one features some stretched out lettering on United States of America. This is the FS 802 DDR on a 1935 Buffalo nickel. This one ended up selling for $84.14. This is actually a much more scarcer DDR than the FS801. So if you have some of these, this one's not like particularly high grade, maybe a fine 12 on its best of days, but this is a really strong variety. And if you're going through BU rolls of Lincoln wheat cents, like a common date, like a 55S, this person found 10 absolutely gem, amazing, high quality BIE die chips. Again, BIEs are all collected on progression and type. These are attributed on cudsoncoins.com. So in case you guys are wondering, there's a boatload of these to find. So this lot of 10 sold for $39.90, which is pretty good. That's a really, really good amount of money. And considering these are all gem, mint state condition coins, they are going to have, more value as time goes on. These are pretty readily available when you need them, but you see them a lot on circulated coins. Another big one here, haven't seen one of these. It's on a Kasachi ATB quarter, 2015 Denver. Another freaking Denver coin here. What's Denver doing these days? Man, they don't usually screw up at the mint. But check out that wildly large strike through right on the obverse. And no, that is not damage, because with this kind of hit, if this quarter took an artificial outside of the mint facility type of hit, then you would see the coin bent in the same fashion on the reverse. And you just don't see that push through and distortion of metal anywhere on the coin. This one is phenomenal. I'm sure this thing had gone through so many hands before finally someone looked at it a little bit closer and said, yep, that's a strike through right there. So this one ended up selling for $58.85, a really nice reward for recognizing what this one is and cashing in on it. All right, candy half roll hunters out there, take notice. This is not the greatest looking 1974D candy, but it is always a date and mint mark you should look for. For the doubled die obverse, it's most strongest on the word trust, and also the 4 in the date. But yeah, you can see just how gnarly this one is. It's a cherry picker's guide variety. It's FS101. This one is in particularly circulated shape, and even still ended up selling for $12.99. Much higher condition mid-state examples sell for $25 to $30. And Homestead Quarters making an appearance here this week. 2015P is the date and mint. Double pump handle. This is WDDR number 5. It's not the best or strongest doubled die reverse, but it is one of the decent, kind of dramatic examples that you can find. There are scores of various doubled die reverses on this coin, not to mention all the little die chips and stuff on the roof that looks like snow, or the leaky bucket. This particular coin is rife with all sorts of cool finds. This one right here is sold for $10.04. Another great find. Not a coin that you normally see ungraded, but this is a 1966 Washington quarter that was struck on a nickel planchet. You could tell that as well. The devices are cut off. The nickel planchet is a lot smaller than a Washington quarter planchet. And what didn't happen was the seller did not add in what the weight is, which with these type of things, you always have to put the weight. With a nickel, it has to be 5 grams. Quarters are much heavier than that by a few grams, as a matter of fact. So always do the weight check on here. Add that to your listing if you want to sell these raw. But oftentimes these are in PCGS and NGC graded holders, albeit it really doesn't add a whole lot of value unless it's like an Ike dollar that was struck on a Lincoln cent planchet. Now that's pretty wild. This one ended up selling still for $209.50, with 14 bids. Our final lot for the day, actually we're down to our last couple auction listings. Our final lot is this lot of 3 Lincoln Memorial cents. We have a 1990, 91, and 92. They all have full dates, and that's what matters to collectors. The coins are in great shape too. This 3-coin lot sold for $44 with 11 bids. And then finally, we're going to end it off on the Sally Ride Die Clash. This is like one of the strongest ones that I've seen to date. These are like fresh clashing, probably after the dies had made contact or shortly thereafter. But the seller did a really good job, kind of doing some of the verbiage on there, some close-ups of the clashing right here under the chin of George Washington, also on the reverse. Again, very highly detailed. And here's also more of that. So what's really cool is that you can see the strong clashing under the ear of George Washington, which is an area where you don't see the clashing too good. This particular coin sold for a really cool $60. So the strongest clashing, still a perennial hit on eBay. If you do come across them, save them, sell them, keep them, whatever you want to do. These coins are pretty impressive as far as errors go. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up, man. Go ahead and go out there, get some work done. Find some of these coins. They're all over the place, and people are making boatloads of money. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to love, share, subscribe. Follow me on TikTok as well. I'm on there with some short form, less than 1 minute videos if you dig that. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. Lots of good stuff. Glad to see we're in the holidays and people are getting some coin roll hunting work done. You guys go do the same. I'll see you guys next time.